يا رايحين على مصر مين يبعت سلامي في كلمتين يا هلا الله، مشتاق لناسها الطيبين ودي ياما فيها مخلصين يا ما شاء الله. وفي أزهر العلماء تقدر تقول ما تشاء، ده أنا والله بدعي لهم رب السما وقولوا امين ان شاء الله ان شاء الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا، وأنت يا حي يا قيوم تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا سهلا. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. This is the fourth lesson in this series of lessons that are meant to be a guide for a student who wishes to pursue serious studies in the Shafi'i school. Last time we talked about the life of Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala. And after we talked about the life of Imam Shafi'i, we started to talk about some of his main students that were responsible for propagating the teachings of Imam Shafi'i. So there were three main students that recorded as well as propagated the teachings of Imam Shafi'i after he passed away. The first one, who we talked about last time, is Imam al-Muzani. The second one, we talked about Imam al-Muzani last time. The second student of Imam al-Shafi'i is al-Buwayti, who died in 231 Hijrah. And al-Buwayti was the Khalifa of Imam al-Shafi'i. He was the one who took over the circle that Imam al-Shafi'i used to hold to teach his lessons. So his seat was taken over by al-Buwayti. Al-Buwayti was the one who took over the seat of Imam al-Shafi'i and began to continue the lessons that Imam al-Shafi'i used to teach. So he was the Khalifa of Imam al-Shafi'i. And this was by permission and by order of Imam al-Shafi'i himself, because Imam al-Shafi'i is reported to have said that nobody is more deserving to take my place than Yusuf ibn Yahya, which is al-Buwayti. And none of my students is more learned than him. None of my students is more learned than him. Al-Buwayti, during the turmoil, during the fitna of Khalqul Quran that we talked about last time, the creation of the Quran, this problem that afflicted so many scholars in the early part of the 3rd century. This problem also afflicted Imam al-Buwayti. He fell into this turmoil, and he insisted the position of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah that the Quran is not created, is the uncreated word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for which he was persecuted. So he was called to Baghdad from Egypt. He was called to Baghdad and he was imprisoned in Baghdad, and he was tortured until he passed away in prison, rahimahullah ta'ala. And he didn't leave behind too many books because he was primarily engaged in teaching the dars that Imam al-Shafi'i used to do. But there is a famous book, a very important book in our school that was authored by him, which is Mukhtasar al-Buwayti. And this book is unfortunately not available in print. It was printed before, but it's out of print. And some people are trying their best to reprint it soon, inshaAllah ta'ala, in the Arabic language. And then the third student of Imam al-Shafi'i, is Rabi' al-Muradi. Rabi' ibn Sulaiman al-Muradi, who died in 270 after Hijrah. So he outlived both of his companions, both of his fellows from the students of Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah, and he was the transmitter, if you will, the transmitter of the books of Imam al-Shafi'i. Rabi' al-Muradi was extremely meticulous in narrating. He was a scholar of hadith as well as a result of that, but he was very meticulous when it came to narrating what he had heard from somebody. And so he was primarily interested and took the task of transmitting the books, the many books that Imam al-Shafi'i had left behind. So he compiled and disseminated many of the books of Imam al-Shafi'i, such as Al-Umm, which we said was one of the major works that Imam al-Shafi'i wrote in his new school in Cairo, in Egypt. So Rabi' was responsible for compiling that book after Imam al-Shafi'i and disseminating it. Now, we're not going to get another chance to talk about Al-Umm, so I want to talk about Al-Umm now before we go on, because it is such an important work of Imam al-Shafi'i. Al-Umm. There's a few things that we need to know about Al-Umm. Number one, that it is one of the most important works of Imam al-Shafi'i. This is his work. It was recorded by Rabi' al-Muradi. It was transmitted by Rabi' al-Muradi. The way Imam al-Shafi'i would write the is sometimes he would write it and give it to Rabi' to make copies of it. Sometimes he would dictate portions of it, and Rabi' would write the portions that he was dictating to him. So in the you find it would say أخبرنا الربيع قال الشافعي. Okay, or sometimes it would just say قال الشافعي. Okay, and this is because Rabi' is the one who's writing, but he always says قال الشافعي, Shafi'i said, and then he quotes Shafi'i. All right, so the words in Al-Umm are the words of Shafi'i, but the writing is the writing of Rabi'. Okay, so some people have tried to create a problem out of this and say that Al-Umm was not authored by Shafi'i, because look, it says أخبرنا الربيع, it says قال الشافعي. How can Shafi'i say about himself قال الشافعي? And that's a misunderstanding, because Rabi' is the one who's writing, but he's writing what Shafi'i is saying. And he makes it a point to say قال الشافعي to show you that the words are verbatim from Imam al-Shafi'i. And therefore also sometimes Rabi', sometimes, not frequently, but occasionally, he does interrupt. Sometimes he does interrupt. So he distinguishes that by saying قلت, or by saying قال الربيع. Okay, so there's a clear distinction in the text between what Shafi'i is saying and what Rabi' is saying. Sometimes he inserts an explanation of what Shafi'i is saying, sometimes he inserts an objection to what Shafi'i is saying, but he always is meticulous about separating what he says from what a Shafi'i says. Alright, so is a work of Imam Shafi'i recorded and transmitted by Rabi' al-Muradi. Now, there are other books that were written by Imam Shafi'i and transmitted by Rabi' that are also important that we mention. These books, and I want to mention 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. These books are published together with the today. They're published together with the today. But in actuality, they are separate books. They're separate books. Al is a book of fiqh. It has all the chapters that a fiqh book would normally have. You know, tahara, salah, siyam, zakah, and so on. And it ends. And then there are 6 additional books that are appended to Al in the prints that we see today. And these books are, number 1, Ikhtilaf al-Iraqiyain. Ikhtilaf al-Iraqiyain. Ikhtilaf al-Iraqiyain is a book that discusses the differences, the disagreements between 2 Iraqi scholars, namely Abu Hanifa and Ibn Abi Layla. Ibn Abi Layla and Abu Hanifa, they had differences in opinion on many issues. Ikhtilaf al-Iraqiyain discusses those issues. And then Imam Shafi'i gives his own opinion on those issues as well. The other book is Ikhtilaf Ali wa Ibn Mas'ud. Ikhtilaf Ali wa Ibn Mas'ud. Same thing. This book discusses the different disagreements between Ali and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud on various issues. The third book is Ikhtilaf Malik wa Shafi'i. Ikhtilaf Malik wa Shafi'i. This book discusses issues on which there is disagreements between Malik and Shafi'i. The fourth book is Ar-Radd ala Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani. Ar-Radd ala Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani, which is a book dedicated to refute Imam Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani on some issues in fiqh. Then the fifth book is Ibtal al-Istihsan. Ibtal al-Istihsan, in which Imam Shafi'i talks about the illegitimacy of using istihsan as a source of sharia. Istihsan is a topic that you discuss in usul al-fiqh. And the last book was Siyar al-Awza'i, which is a refutation of Abu Yusuf, who was a student of Abu Hanifa, who refuted al-Awza'i. So al-Awza'i, the great Imam, the scholar, was refuted by Abu Yusuf in a book. Imam al-Shafi'i wrote this book, Siyar al-Awza'i, to refute Abu Yusuf and support al-Awza'i. So as you can see from these 6 books, they're all refutations, disagreements, which shows that Imam Shafi'i, despite having respect for Abu Hanifa, despite having respect for Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani, despite having respect for Abu Yusuf, the student of Abu Hanifa, despite having respect for Imam Malik, he wrote these books where he shows his disagreements with these scholars. And these books therefore are great examples of comparative fiqh. Comparative fiqh, which is a science where we look at the various opinions on issues and try to deduce the strongest opinion. These are some of the earliest examples of works written in comparative fiqh. All of these books were dictated by Imam Shafi'i and recorded and transmitted by Rabi' al-Muradi. That is the role that Rabi' al-Muradi plays in the Shafi'i school. And inshallah, we would like to stop here for today, and next time we will pick up from here. وصلى اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.
العلماء لهم فضل ومنزلة ووجههم عند مولى الفضل مقبول. قوم إلى الله قد شدت عزائمهم وحبلهم بحبال الله موصول. قوم على الملة السمحاء قد فطروا وشأنهم مع كتاب الله منقول. أعطاهم الله ما شاءوا وأكرمهم كذاك قال الذي وفاه جبريل. يا ربنا خذ بنا قلبا لساحتهم لنستريح ويحمى القال والقيل. العلماء لهم جاه ومنزلة ووجههم عند مولى الفضل مقبول.